I'm Dave with Operation Eagle's Wings, honoring all who served and leaving no one behind. And we are here at the Air Show of the Cascades once again. It's a beautiful day, a little hazy because of all the fires burning. But people here today are going to enjoy a lot of very, very nice aerobatic flying. And they're also going to be able to enjoy the flying of some vintage airplanes. A B-17, which we talked about a moment ago, and also this B-25 Mitchell, which is just behind us. And Jim Martin is the crew chief of the B-25 Mitchell. Jim, glad to have you with us today.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So tell us about the B-25. Who is it named after, first of all? It was Mitchell?
Well, Billy Mitchell made it famous because in the 40s, back before the war and when the war started, he wanted to fly aircraft as a combat, and the Army didn't think airplanes were any good for, sinking ships or doing, and they went out in a B-25 and they sunk a couple ships and showed them how much damage they could do, and that's how it become the Mitchell B-25.
So let's talk about the Mitchell just a little bit. It's a two-engine, is it a short-range bomber?
Yes, it's a shorter range bomber, and most of the time the B-25 flew at low altitude, right down on the ground, and it strafed and did low altitude bombing and did bridges and dams and tanks and whatever, ships. And
so you're the crew chief. You are the crew chief of the B-25. What's the crew chief do?
Well, he tries to keep it in flying condition and does most of the maintenance on it. And I'm one of probably half a dozen, 6 or 8 crew chiefs. So the crew chiefs and the crews come out, and they spend maybe 2 weeks at a time out, and then they go back, and another crew comes. So it isn't like I'm the only one. There's several pilots and a lot of different crew people that come out.
How many B-25s are flying today?
I would say probably at any given time 25 maybe, but that, give or take.
Now the B-17, how many of those are still flying?
I would guess maybe 10.
So you take this all over the country as part of the Commemorative Air Force. How many flying airplanes are part of the Commemorative Air Force, and what is the Commemorative Air Force all about?
Well, a Commemorative Air Force used to be the Confederate Air Force, and they changed their name in about 2000 to the Commemorative Air Force. And they have about, probably 55 wings in the United States and probably a couple overseas. And so they've got hundreds and hundreds of airplanes. And we're just one wing. We're the Arizona wing. And we've got 5 flying aircraft, and we have a museum with many static aircraft in it, military aircraft.
So your purpose is to keep the history of these airplanes alive and in front of the public so that we can touch and feel a part of what was a very important part of the American history.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Well, this airplane here has 2 engines as opposed to the B-17 has 4 engines. However, these are larger, and the engines on the B-17 are 1,200 horse. These are 1,700 horse apiece, and it's a smaller plane, more maneuverable and faster, and it was used for a whole different thing than the B-17.
So what missions would the B-17 fly?
The
B-25, sorry.
The B-25 was just shorter, low level, right down on the ground missions. And this aircraft here did see action in Italy. It had about 15 to 17 missions, combat missions over there. And so it's probably one of the only actual veterans that's still flying today.
So this plane that we're looking at right now actually flew in combat in Italy in World War II?
Yes, it did. Yes, it did.
Did it take any hits?
Yes, it got some holes in it, which are patched up, of course, now but yeah, it did. It just wasn't bad enough to bring it down, and it fell through the cracks, and we got it.
Are these pretty durable airplanes?
Yes, they are. They're very durable. They had a lot more armor on them in combat. Of course, we don't use that, and but they'll take a lot of punishment.
Jim Martin, crew chief with the B-25, thank you for your service to your country.
Very welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for your story.
Yep.
I'm Dave Adams, Operation Eagle's Wings, honoring all who served and leaving no one behind.